it comes. Oh my goodness. In your life have you seen anything like that? There it is. A win for the Aces. Is it his time?
Welcome to the first episode of the Putting It Straight podcast, the podcast where we talk about everything golf. You're joined by me, your host, Matthew Fieldend, and I'm alongside my two co-hosts, Simon Data and Tom Palmer. How are we doing, guys? You all right?
Yeah, all good, mate. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very good. How you been keeping yourself busy?
Not too much, to be honest. Eating, drinking, not much golf.
Netflix.
No, it's
Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah,
What have you been?
absolute saviour.
Documentaries.
What have you been binging?
Marcella, I think it's called Marcella.
Marcella.
Little crime documentary. Yeah, it's good.
Oh, they're quality, aren't they?
Do like a bit of a crime documentary. To be fair, not
The
bad at
serial
all.
killer ones are life during this lockdown. To be fair, they're really, really good.
Yeah, what was the one? I watched the one on the Yorkshire Ripper a couple of weeks ago, which was quite interesting. Yeah, that was very interesting.
Yeah, they're quality. They're really, really good.
They are good, particularly at this time. It gives us something to do. It does. But I mean, as we know, we're here to talk about everything golf. So the idea of this podcast is each week we'll have a different topic that we'll be discussing and giving our pointless opinions about, and waffling on about anything we've got to say.
Pointless opinions. Speak for yourself.
Well, you know, you do forget that we work together, so I have listened to you waffle on a bit in the past.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
And Tom, you're not immune from that either, Tom, because
you're amazing personality.
I've worked with you as well. And on that topic, like I say, I mean, we've previously worked together. Simon, we're currently working together. It must be an absolute delight to be working alongside me. I mean, don't all speak at once.
Yeah, obviously that's one of the main reasons that I left. It was you and another person that worked there, I think. So.
Oh, dear.
Oh dear. Simon, you're not enjoying yourself, no?
Yeah, it's fantastic, mate. Yeah, I'm saying that just in case Dan ever watches this podcast. I love it. It's great.
I mean, you know, I don't really know what else you can say. I thought I'd been a really good colleague to both of you, but clearly I'm doing something wrong. So we'll discuss that outside the podcast. I mean, it might be in a disciplinary hearing, but we'll see. But obviously, we've all worked in pro shops for quite a bit of time now, and I think it's fair to say that whilst we probably all enjoy pro shop life and what it has to offer, there are definitely some things that can annoy us from time to time. Is there anything, apart from working with me, is there anything that stands out as a particular bugbear from working at a pro shop?
No, to be fair, mate, other than that, it's great.
Yeah. So just my presence.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's really
I think mine personally has got to be when obviously I think it's the 6 foot under snow outside on the golf course and people are still calling up to check what the course conditions are. I mean, if you looked out your window, you could probably tell that the course is going to be closed today. However, I've been asked why don't they just grit the greens, put some salt down on the green, then we're all good to go. But obviously, I think when the phone's ringing off the hook, when there's snow outside, I think that's probably one of the most annoying things working in a pro shop.
Yeah, I've got to second that. That is incredible. The amount of phone calls you get asking about the course status when it's under 4 foot of snow is beyond hilarious. But I think one of the other ones are a couple down, and I think you'll both agree with this. You know, when you stood at a counter and somebody walks in the pro shop and they stand at the door, and rather than walk in to ask for the code for the change rooms, they just shout it from the opposite end of the shop.
Yeah, that does annoy me a bit, too fair.
That, oh my God. And then the other one I thought of was, and this has happened quite a few times recently, or before we went into lockdown. You have like a member bringing a visitor for the day, and you'll say, "Oh, what's the guest name so I can put him in the system?" "Oh, Tiger Woods." Really?
You're too uptight. He's too
Really?
uptight. You need to take it easy, mate.
Shut up. Just the amount of times that happens is it's not even funny. But there
What about you, Simon?
I don't really know. You've had quite sensible suggestions. I was going to say vacuuming.
Vacuuming.
I got to say though, when I got to Drayton and we had a cordless vacuum cleaner, that was the best, probably one of the best moments I've ever had.
I don't mind doing a bit of vacuuming at the end of the day. Get the shop all tidy.
Oh yeah.
No, it's all right. That is.
You're a bit weird.
Oh, that's cute.
No, if I never see a vacuum cleaner again, it'll be too soon. Oh, I can't stand it. No, not my cup of tea.
It's just one of those things. At the end of a 10 or 11-hour day in the shop, it's not really what you want to be doing, is it?
No, I don't mind vacuuming. It's when your guy comes off the course who hasn't sprayed his feet, then walks into the pro shop with all this fresh cut grass that are on his golf shoes that are then left in your pro shop after you just vacked it. That's that's another level.
Not ideal. That is frustrating. Definitely frustrating. Oh dear. But moving on from that, if we just have a little review of kind of recent results, there's been a couple of interesting tournaments recently. Obviously, last week on the PGA Tour, we had the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Looked for a long time that Spieth was going to make his comeback win after not being in the winner circle for quite some time, and then Brooks Koepka sneaks up from behind and eagles 17 to vault himself into the lead and ends up taking the win there. It was an interesting event, wasn't it?
Yeah, couldn't have gone better for me, to be honest. I'm so pleased to see both of them back. It's I think it's great for the game of golf. Everyone loves watching Spieth and Brooks. I mean, it's brilliant to see him back again after so long and not doing so well.
Yeah, I think Spieth's one of those stories that I think everybody just wants to see him do well at this point.
After he chunked it into the water in the Masters.
I think whenever you watch somebody publicly collapse like that, you can't help but really empathise with them. And that day at Augusta was a tough watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It was a really tough watch. It was kind of shades of McIlroy leaning on his driver when he hooked it at 10. It's like it felt so similar. So yeah, I think
you can empathise as well, though. We've all been there. We've all had those days.
Oh, of course.
You might have a few of them. Literally, I've seen him do that a lot.
Every week, yeah.
Every single week.
Prone to a snap hook.
Oh, snap hook, yeah, definitely.
Definitely prone to a snap hook. Having said that, though, Tom, it does remind me of a period of time when we played a lot of golf together and you could not get the ball in play and you just kept on going to this chop, what did you call it? Your chop punch cut?
Oh, yeah, literally a knockdown punch. Literally, if I could just knockdown punch it all the way around, get a score going.
Literally chipping a golf around the golf course. That was hard to watch.
I've embraced the draw now. Embrace the draw, set it out right, just let it come back.
I think you have to embrace your flaws at some point, don't you? You just have to get on with it. But there you go. And then on the European tour as well, we had the Saudi International. DJ probably picked up a lovely appearance fee to go and play in Saudi Arabia, and then ended up winning as well.
It's unbelievable. He's a machine. He's so consistent.
Yeah, it's frightening. I think when he's probably one of very few golfers that when they're at their best, you can't really see how they can be beaten.
Him and Bryson, I reckon, probably up there, aren't they?
Bryson, you love a bit of Bryson.
He loves it.
You're really on that Bryson high.
How far are we in? And he's already said Bryson. We're not even talking about him.
You count the amount of times I mentioned Bryson.
Yeah, we'll do a Bryson count.
We are going to have to do a Bryson count. That will have to be included. But no, you are right. I think Bryson's another one that's got the potential to be that guy. I think for Bryson, it's actually just a case of, well, similar to DJ, how well they put is generally what determines how well they play. Both of them obviously hit it a long way and are generally pretty straight with it as well. But if they don't put well, they don't win. Although, I mean, that Sunday in Saudi, DJ did not put well at all, but he just did enough to stay in front for the rest of the round.
Yeah, he knows how to win now at this point, doesn't he? He knows how to get himself across the line. Even if he hasn't got his A game, he's always there or thereabouts.
Yeah, for sure. Which that counts for a lot. When these guys get to that level, they're not scared of winning, and they've been there enough times to know how to get it done. I think a really interesting talking point moving forward for the rest of this year is obviously the news that at the US PGA Championship they're going to allow distance measuring devices for the first time. Now it's been a talked about subject for quite a few years now. A lot of people suggesting that it's going to help with pace of play, which, from what I understand, is the main reason that they've decided to bring it in. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's going to be a good thing? Do you think players are going to want to see more of that?
I mean, for me personally, obviously, it might speed up the play a little bit, but it takes away the role of the caddy a little bit, doesn't it? In effect, obviously, if they can just push another pin. And it depends how extreme they're going to do it. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to stand at 50 yards and start bushing the flag, I mean, I don't know.
What's wrong with pushing the flag from 50 yards? I'll do that.
No, I'm just saying, obviously, like, you do. I've seen you do it. But, I mean,
I've seen him bush another putt.
Yeah, that's a yard.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think it just depends how far they take it, and obviously takes away the role of the caddy a little bit for me.
I mean, it's not even that. It's like they bounce off the caddy as well. Like when they get in the yardage, it's like a whole process, isn't it? They get the yardage off the caddy, then they talk about the wind and stuff and the conditions, how far they want to fly it, slopes on the greens and stuff, and they sort of bounce off the caddy a little bit, and it might take a little bit of that away, but it's yet to be seen. I think you're right; it will speed up play for sure.
I don't know. To be honest, I'm a little bit on the fence with it. I think it's a good idea, and I think that potentially we might see more of it in kind of months and years to come. But I saw a few interesting comments on social media, and some players are kind of saying, well, they're still going to ask their caddy for, the number to cover the bunker at the front of the green, and the players are still going to want to know how many yards there are past the flag. So I think that
I don't think it'll change loads.
No, I think the worry is, I think the USPGA are probably relying on it improving pace of play maybe too much. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make. I think it'll only really become evident when we see it kind of in use in that tournament, really. But it's definitely going to make some interesting talking points from that event onwards, whether it's going to be introduced into more events or if it's just something that they're going to just leave after that one event. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I think the other really interesting debate within golf at the minute is the distance debate as well, which reached an interesting kind of climax last week with McIlroy's comments on the review that they've done. They've spent a lot of money on this distance review. And I think McIlroy's quote was, "It reeks of self-importance."
Yeah.
Which strong words.
Oh, he said at the time that he was going to get in trouble for it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and you could see it. It's really got to him. I mean, where do you kind of sit on the distance debate? Is the golf ball going too far?
There's no point talking to Tom about it. He's Bryson's assistant, isn't he? So we all know.
Bryson, so definitely not. I don't think so, because your average guy at the golf course, if you take away distance off them, they ain't going to get it round. Let's face it. Put a par 4, 420 yards. How many people are hitting the green in 2? There's not going to be a lot, is there? And if you make it short, if you make the ball go less distance, they're not even going to get close to hitting the green in 2. And then they're not enjoying the game because they're not shooting the scores they want to shoot. You know what it's like. You go to a really hard course when we play like the Oxfordshire, and it's like 7-4 off the back tees, and it's windy, and you don't have a good round, or you shoot shoot a high score, you don't want to go and play it again. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to go play again the next day because you've just had. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a slog, and it's hard for us on long courses. But for people that struggle for distance anyway, your old boy that's 75 years old, he's never going to get to the green. He already takes 10 to get there. He's going to take 20 now.
Wow, you've just offended a lot of 75-year-old guys.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that.
He's complimented a few as well, to be fair. No, I completely agree, and that's a good point. And I think that's what Rory was saying as well. You know, they're catering to 1% of golfers, 1% of all golfers, and you know, just because Bryson's pushing the ticket as much as he is, your guy Bryson, yeah, that's another one.
You love him. You love him way too much.
Just because he's doing that, it doesn't mean it has to change for like the whole game of golf. Like that's not something.
The fairways tighter though, couldn't they?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing that's being talked about now. I mean, there is the possibility that it might just be something that they do for tour players only, so that it doesn't affect your everyday golfers, which would make more sense. But then on the flip side, there's a lot of players that are saying, well, no, it's more about golf course setup and design, as you just said, whether it's making the fairways tighter, growing the rough up, a few more strategically placed bunkers or trees and things like that. I think that there's more that they can do in that regard than just going backwards with the equipment. If you think of any other sport, I can't think of one other sport where equipment is actually regressing.
To make you not do as good. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think for me, from what I can gather, whenever I hear the pundits talking about it on TV, it all comes down to they don't like the fact that golfers now
just want to boom it.
9 irons and wedges into par fours where they used to hit 5 and 6 iron. It's like, well, it's a different game now, but you can just tell that they don't like it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it's come down to now. But if they make the ball go short distance, Bryson's still going to hit it 40 yards past everybody else.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Proportional. You're going to hurt the mid to short kind of distance guys as well. So Bryson will still have that same advantage. So I don't.
Golf's hard enough as it is. Do you know what I mean? It's only the elite that maybe are just booming it. But at the same time, if you had a fairway that was covered with loads of water out there and there was only tiny landing spots, then it'd become a completely different game, wouldn't it? Because you've got to try and put your ball in the perfect position.
Exactly.
Then that's a course that would. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't suit just booming the ball long.
Yeah,
but,
like reward accuracy over distance.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah, which I think is what ultimately, I think that's what they're trying to do. They want to bring accuracy back into the game. But I saw some really interesting stats the other day, and they were comparing Tiger when he was at his best and what his driving accuracy was versus his driving distance. And when they're talking about bringing accuracy back into the game, Tiger was never an accurate driver of the golf ball, but he always bombed it compared to his other players. So whether they're trying to bring accuracy back into the game or not, the fact of the matter is people that bomb the ball, like Tiger did back in his heyday, like DJ and Brooks and Bryson do now, they're still going to have that advantage, and that is still going to help them win tournaments. I mean, I know you're loving me saying that because it's another one in your Bryson book, but that is the truth. And I don't know to what extent they can make accuracy become more important than distance at this point.
Yeah, and let's face it, it's fun to watch. It is fun to watch.
Everyone, well, I say everyone, a lot of people like watching players hit it 340, 350.
Yeah.
It is. It makes good viewing. However,
if you made the fairway super tight with loads of water, then it'd be even more fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it'd make them at least think twice about pulling driver out the bag.
It's almost like... Go on.
If you give them the opportunity to hit 3-wood or 2-iron to a fat part of the fairway at 280, 290, and then it really tightens up and there's water in a bunker, and they can't hit driver, well, all of a sudden they've got to do something different. And I think that's been the interesting thing when they go and play these more classic style golf courses that are tighter, more tree line fairways, dog legs. Players can't overpower those golf courses. And I think it's almost the modern day golf courses that are wide open, nearly 8,000 yards. That's where you see the bombers really take over. So I think potentially going back to the conversation about golf course and golf course design, I think really they just need to almost go back to an older style of golf course architecture where you can't just hit driver everywhere because it makes them plot their way around the golf course.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the most fun holes to watch is it the 15th at the Waste Management? The drivable par 4 with all the water down the left.
17.
Oh, 17.
So you got 16 the stadium par 3 and then 17 the drivable par 4. Yeah.
But I mean, you know, that they can get there easily, but because there's a little bit of danger there, there's hazards there. It's one of the most fun holes to watch, and I mean, some of the shots that you see are quality. So something like that where it almost makes every single drive a risk and reward shot, and something's on the line for it, and it matters whether they spray it 40, 50 yards left or right. I think.
Well, I was just thinking, Tom, it's not a problem that we have really, is it? Kind of playing some of the local golf courses because you can just hit it. You can just hit it on another fairway, can't you?
Yeah, you're all right. I'm usually on a different one, so it doesn't really make too much difference.
Play a bit of the classic soldier golf.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what hole you're on, as long as you get that ball in the hole.
No pictures on a scorecard, mate. Told you that before. No pictures on a scorecard. Dear me. But that brings us nicely onto our next kind of topic. I mean, another great short hole in the world of golf is the 10th at Riviera, where the PGA Tour head to next week for the Genesis Open. I mean, that golf hole is, it's 309 yards long, tiny green, really thin, bunkers surrounding it.
Yeah.
I think it ranks about 12th hardest at that event. But the amount of people that go for that green and end up making bogey or worse is incredible.
Yeah. And
it just goes to show that, you know, golf holes don't need to be long, wide open to make them difficult. It's, I think, I read a stat earlier that said, I think in the first round last year, 144-man field, 91 players attempted to drive that green. Have a guess how many actually managed to hit the green?
8.
Yeah.
8?
I'll go 12.
2.
Wow.
2. Okay, of that 91 players, how many of them made birdie?
20.
20? Okay, Tom?
I'm going to go 15.
I mean, you're both pretty close, to be fair. Split the difference. It was 17.
Oh, close to 15 there.
Which, on a hole that's 309 yards long, it's not a big percentage, is it?
No.
And
that's
really
the difference,
isn't.
is that if there's a little bit of trouble, it makes things a lot more interesting to watch, you know.
Absolutely.
When they can spray it 40 and 50 yards, mostly left, Tom, then it's not as fun as it, you know.
Matt.
Oh dear. But that brings us nicely on to our weekly game that we're going to be doing throughout this podcast. So between us, and we want our listeners to get involved as well, is every week we're going to be picking either a tournament from the PGA Tour or the European Tour, and we're going to be choosing our winner, basically making a prediction of who we think is going to win that week. Now, the way it will work is based on those results, we'll have a scoring system. So if your player does magically win, they're going to get 10 points. If your player finishes in the top 5, they're going to get 8 points. If they're in the top 10, they're going to get 6 points. If they're in the top 30, they're going to get 4 points. If they make the cut, they'll get 2. And if they miss the cut, then they're going to get -5. And we'll keep a leaderboard throughout the season. We might have to have some sort of forfeit involved for the.
I reckon you could get minus points this year, Matt.
Me?
Yeah, definitely.
Mate,
That's Simon definitely with some of his
You're joking.
ropey calls.
No, I think a lot of research goes into my calls. Thank you very much. And you can't just say
Simon
Bryson
likes
every
his
week either.
I was going to say Tom's just going to pick Bryson until he wins.
No,
Simon, I think will do
I won't
some
pick
research.
Bryson every time.
He'll pick Bryson for 12 weeks running. On the 13th week, he'll win. He'll go, look, I told you he was good.
I told you, yeah. I told you so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But of course, we want our listeners to get involved as well. So we have got an email for the podcast, which is puttingitstraight@gmail.com. If you want to submit your predictions to us prior to the event starting on the Thursday, then we can add you to our league, and we'll keep those scores running throughout the week. And every week we'll read out people's results, notable results, who's done well, who hasn't, who's top of the leaderboard, and who's near the bottom. But I definitely think between the three of us, there needs to be a forfeit come the end of the season for the person who's got the least amount of points.
We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah, I think we'll leave that on for the next one.
I think that might be a nice one for the listeners to get involved in. So if you've got any ideas for a forfeit for the three of us, then get those emailed into us, and we'll pick the best one, or should I say the worst one? So we will.
He's
see.
confident he's going to do well, isn't he?
It's whatever the viewers pick anyway. Matt's going to be doing it, so it's all good.
Are we having one for next week then for the Genesis at Riviera?
I think we should. I mean, I think we all know who Tom's going to pick.
Right,
so
I'm putting it out there, starting us off. Bryson DeChambeau, first week. I'm going for him.
Really? You're joking? I would
Finished
never
fifth
guess that.
last year. He's a great player. Made a few mistakes. There's only 2 shots off winning it. So I'm going with him. I think he's going to do well this time.
So you think that he's going to overpower Riviera?
I think he's going to destroy it. Not just overpower it. He's going to annihilate it. He's going to go in there, start booming driver everywhere, and he's going to make a lot of birdies. A few eagles as well. Hopefully he can keep them bogeys off his card, though.
This is very strong. I feel like Tom just needs a forfeit for when Bryson doesn't finish within the top 10. Just his own little forfeit.
We'll discuss this next week, but you wait and see.
I mean, what kind of winning score are you expecting then if he's going to dominate and overpower this golf course?
I reckon he's going to shoot 15 under, take the win.
Just a cool 15 under.
15 under. Yeah.
I think that's a terrible call, to be honest. I don't see Bryson doing well around there at all. I'm going to put my neck on the line. I'm going to say that Bryson. I'm going to say he won't finish inside the top 30.
It doesn't matter where he finishes. You've got to worry about him. I'm going to get the 10 points. Who are you going for then?
So I've gone for Jordan Spieth.
He loves it, doesn't he? He loves just jumping on that bandwagon. Everyone loves
the romantic choice at the minute, but look,
good form.
He's got
for a week.
Form.
He's good at putting. He needs to hit the greens round there.
Oh yeah, as you say, Tom, he puts well. He
Here we go.
Greens around there, which his iron game's coming back around. He's starting to find his driver as well, which is an important key around Riviera. He's had some good results there. He's never won at Riviera, but he's had 4 top 10 finishes. So I think this year could be his year. So that's my pick.
He loves it. He loves the bandwagon. I'm going for Joaquin Niemann.
Joaquin Niemann. Come on, talk to me.
Joaquin Niemann. He's, like you say, it's key to have your driver.
That's a -5. That's a
-5.
No,
that's a chance.
Straight away.
No way.
Tom, you're only saying that because you've never heard of him.
Never heard. Joaquin Niemann. Never heard of him.
So, like you say, narrow fairways, really tight. Driver's got to be on point. He's right up there with his driving accuracy. He's coming off some really good form.
What's his driving accuracy then, Si?
60%.
Oh, there we are. There we are.
60%.
No, so
where does that rank on the PGA Tour?
It's above average.
Just above average. Just above average.
Yeah. No more questions. No, but he can control his ball flight. He's got the stinger in the bag. If the wind starts blowing around there as well, it makes it really, really tricky. So controlling your ball flight's absolutely crucial.
You know it's the Genesis Open, not the Open Championship, right?
I know that. I know. When the wind starts blowing around there, mate.
Stick to your Jordan Spieth, mate.
I know.
I will. I'm very, very pleased with my choice, to be fair. I'm definitely confident that he's going to bring me home at least 6 points. At least
6 points. That is a bold shout.
It's a guaranteed 6 points. I'm throwing it out there.
That's top 10. He's coming top 10.
That's a top 10. It's a guaranteed top 10.
You watch.
So no, but I think it's an interesting event. Though. I dug out a few stats earlier on the Genesis Open at Riviera. Very iconic golf course. Been on the PGA Tour for a long time. But the Genesis Open has the second highest average age for a winner of any event on the PGA Tour. Only the Open Championship has a higher average age of winner. So the average age is 34.6. So generally speaking, they suggest that experience is a good thing at Riviera. So that
I'm glad we've all gone for young lads. Then that's good.
Yeah, we've all picked the youngsters. I saw the stat and ignored it to go with the
to jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Jumped over that onto the bandwagon and just went with that.
Nice.
So yeah, that was one. And the other stat, which I think you touched on earlier, Simon, to do with iron play. The previous 4 winners have all ranked inside the top 25 for the week in greens in reg. So definitely does show the importance of a good iron game at Riviera, which will be interesting to see. I mean, by Tom's calculation with Bryson, he's not going to hit any irons anyway. He's just going to drive and a putt everywhere. So.
I'll tell you what, though, with you saying that, those 2 stats, the one person who jumps out straight away is Jim Furyk. Top of greens in reg. He's got the experience on his side. I could be changing it. No. I'll stick with it.
Sign of weakness.
Right. I'll tell you what, he's got no confidence in his man, has he? He's already
I'm sticking with it.
Not even finished the podcast and he's bailing.
Yeah, can we cut this?
Unbelievable. But to be fair, Tom, you've got a history with making terrible predictions.
I've got great predictions. I have.
No, I think what actually happens, you're very lucky when it comes to predictions. I think you need to share with us the story of Alex Noren and the race to Dubai.
Well,
I think the listeners need to hear it.
I knew back in the day that Alex Noren was going to do absolute pieces.
No. Tell it properly.
That's what I knew what was going to happen.
I'm not having it.
Basically,
still to this day, I'm not having it.
Back at the start of the season, I was there. He was doing all right, nothing special. Gave me a putting lesson back a day. So I thought, you know what, nice guy. Gave me a putting lesson. I'm going to put him on. I'm going to think he's going to do well in the race to Dubai. So thought to myself, put a pound on him, 500 to 1.
500 this at the start of the season.
This at the start of the season. 500 to 1 when he wasn't that big, and obviously he did pretty well, didn't he? I think he came like second or third, and then obviously got a good win out of that one. So it was a great prediction.
I mean, you're missing a huge chunk of that story.
A massive chunk he's left out of that, hasn't he?
The biggest chunk going. Do you want to fill the gap, or shall
you can fill the gap if you want. But for me personally, I knew he was going to do well in that. So
in the season, you knew he was going to do well in the season.
I thought obviously he was going to do well in the event and the season itself.
Now, for the benefit of the listeners at home, what you need to understand is that when Tom placed this bet, he thought that the race to Dubai was a singular event for the coming week.
Yeah, I'm not really a big golf watcher, but
it was only then at the end of the season that he realised, after I explained to him, that the race to Dubai was the season-long race to see who was going to be the number one on the European Tour. And Alex Noren happened to have a great season, which is where you ended up winning the luckiest £500 on that bet I've ever seen.
I think I put it on each way, so I don't think I made 5. I think I was about £300, £400. I think I made.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't bad.
That's better.
But again, predictions. If anybody needs any tips or advice, then just remember to email him.
Don't.
I'll help you out.
Do not go with Tom.
We'll wait and see next week once Bryson gets the win.
Go to Tom. God, dear me. I mean, I guess we can talk about, if we want to go all the way then, who have you got for your 4 majors this year?
I think it's too early to tell.
Oh, you want to see?
I want a bit of time, I do. I've got to study. I've got to study who's doing well. Have a little look into it a little bit closer to the time.
When you say study, do you mean just research some more players other than Bryson DeChambeau?
No, I'll tell you what. On Masters, Rory McIlroy.
I think that's a good shout.
Interesting.
That is a good shout. I think it's
a very
got to
good
be
shout.
his year, one of these years, isn't it? It's bound to happen.
He always does well. He does rubbish the first few days and then comes back into it and finishing like top 10.
I think it's another one of those Jordan Spieth style stories where everybody just wants to see him win a green jacket. He's come so close so many times, and he just needs it to finish off that career Grand Slam. And I think everybody's just desperate for him to win one now.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, it'll be interesting to see. But again, we'd love to hear from you at home. So if you've got your predictions for the 4 majors this year, then please email those into us, and we'll read your predictions out on the podcast and see who's right and who's wrong come major season. So along with that, we also want to hear your thoughts on any topics you want to hear us talk about in coming podcasts. Any coaching relating questions you've got. You've got 3 brilliant PGA professionals here on this podcast who can all offer some coaching advice. So if you've got some questions, please email those into us, and we will try and answer them as best as we can. I mean, Tom will probably just say hit it harder.
No, I don't know. I don't always say just hit it harder. Obviously, all depends on the skill set of the person, doesn't it?
Oh, that's a very well rehearsed answer. That is.
Isn't
very
it?
well rehearsed.
Nice. Yeah, nicely done.
Very nicely done.
Yeah, and while we're on the topic of sending stuff in, please be gentle with the forfeit that you pick for whatever it comes last.
Nah, anything goes. Anything goes.
Anything goes.
Simon's worried.
I know, he's got that dodgy knee character. He's gone for the dodgy knee, and now he literally is panicking.
He's already wobbling a bit on his prediction for this week.
No, he's going to come.
On the forfeit.
He's going to come through for me. Just you wait and see.
Okay. Well, I think we'll leave it there for this week. Very enjoyable. I'm glad we've got through it nearly unscathed.
Without any cuts as well.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We will see. But until next week, we look forward to doing the next podcast. Like I say, email in your thoughts on what you'd like to hear us talk about in the coming weeks, and we will speak to you all again very soon. Thank you very much, Simon. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Cheers, guys.
See you next week. Cheers, guys.
See you later.